Alright, y'all, I'm gonna do a quick video on how to change a airbag. This is on a Freightliner, but they're all pretty much the same. Not exactly, but pretty much. There's the new bag over there. It's the old one. It's leaking down here, which is pretty much where they usually always start leaking when they get old and dry rotted. Sometimes they won't leak when you're empty, but then when you get a load on the truck, they'll start pissing out air pretty bad. So first thing I'm gonna do, there's more than one right way to do this, but this is the way I do it, is there's a leveling valve. There's the leveling valve right there. And I'm gonna disconnect that arm, and then I'm gonna manipulate that to where it raises the whole rear end of the truck up. And when it over raises, I'm gonna take and put some wood blocks in here between the axle and the frame so that it'll give me a little more room to get the new airbag in. But first, I'm gonna take this bolt off. There's another bolt underneath there, and then after that, once I get the blocks in, I'll disconnect it here. Sometimes when they're rusted and rotted out, you need to replace these, but I don't think I need to this time, so I'm not going to replace this. I'm just replacing the bag. Alright, part two, changing the airbag. So this step tool here, you don't have to have it, just makes it easier. This doesn't need to be explained for anybody over the age of 45. Safe on your knees. To get up here, you're gonna need a 1/2-inch ratchet and a 1/2-inch wrench. This one right here goes right there on that arm. So you disconnect it, you can lay it over to the side. Now this one right here, you can move it down and let air out, or you can move it up and let air in. This is your leveling valve. Now on this one, it's actually stiff enough that I can just kind of raise it, let air in, and then put it back in a level position, and it'll just stay there. A lot of them won't do that. A lot of them you got to have a zip tie and tie it up, but on this one you can. It's kind of stiff. So therefore, I've got the truck up a lot higher, so it'll be easier to get that bag out of there and put the new one in. Alright, changing the airbag, part three. Got my blocks between the axle and the frame. There's not as much room on this truck because it's got these disc brakes on it, but be careful not to pinch your ABS, the line that's going to your ABS sensor. You'll be buying that. So now that it's up high enough to get the new one in, I'm going to go in the cab, I'm going to drop the airbags, and then I've got this bolt removed. The one on the bottom is loose, but it's there. So this should just slide right out of here. And I'm going to go up here and drop the airbags. And here we go. Air suspension lower. What you will see is that this side's going down, the rest is going down, but this side will stay kind of up. And I'll give a hammer and get that a tap, and it should slide right on out of there. Alright, so I thought I needed the hammer, I went and got it, but I really didn't. When all the air completely drained out, it just dropped out of the hole. So now I'm gonna disconnect this quick connect and finish taking that loose bolt off down there, and I'll just compress this a bit, and actually I didn't have to do that, it'll just slide right on out. Okay, so sometimes when you buy these new bags, they'll come with this fitting on there, but a lot of times you got to take it off the old bag and put it on the new one, which is what I'm doing here. So I'm wrapping this up with some Teflon tape to make sure it don't leak. It had some, but I put some new Teflon on it. Also, when you disconnect these quick connects, it's not necessary, but it's a lot easier if you have one of these little tools to push back on that collar, or pull back on it rather, and then pull back on the line. Also, of course, I know most of you know this, but for those of you who don't, it's a lot easier to disconnect when there's zero air on the system. All right, now I went up there and I flipped that arm down, and as the suspension goes down, I'm going to guide this in. There it goes. I pushed that leveling arm down, and the suspension is going down, and I just get back here and line it up till that bolt goes through. I'm going to put this nut on. I did not have enough room to plug in my the air line on this, so I had to clip it off. There's more than one way to skin a cat. You do it however you got to do it, I guess. Also, make sure and clean this real good before you put it back in there, because if you don't clean it, there's a good chance it'll leak. All right, last video. Got it on. Got the airline hooked up to quick connect. It's inflated. This bolt tightened down, or this nut tightened down. This nut down here at the bottom. Let that one tighten down. So now all I got to do is go up here and reconnect the rod for the leveling valve, and that's it. And that's how you change an airbag, or at least that's how I do it. I know there's other ways to do it, but right or wrong, that's the way I do it.